Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this APPI focus on ARV, Learn by Doing. And today that's going to be especially true because we're going to be doing a live roulette prediction. And this will allow us to go through all of the AR steps, including feedback and then the value accuracy table entries. So here's the outline. I'm going to give a review. I don't know how many of you are brand new, but some names look unfamiliar. So I do give one which include newbies. In fact, I do a fair amount for newbies. How many of you are newbies? Can you just put your name in the chat box? Thank you, SC. And me. Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. And as I go through this, if you have any questions, be sure to ask them in time. So turn on your mic or put something in the chat box. Okay, so let's describe what ARV, associative remote viewing, is in linear time. It begins with a true remote viewing session where the tasking is to describe and or sketch your, and we use 6-digit numbers. Other people use letters, but the key thing is that's tied to a feedback target. So that coordinate, that number, like a telephone number, is tied to the feedback target period. And that's what you're supposed to describe. That's your tasking during a remote viewing session. And then sometime in the future, you will indeed get to see that feedback target. And there we do everything we can. And now we've added VAT, the viewer accuracy table, to that, in addition to positive feedback, to kind of shine that so information gets fed back to here. And that's precognition is looking at it this way, retrocausality is looking at it this way. But this is when you see the real target. Now, associative remote viewing has, all remote viewing has analysis of one point, of one sort or another, because you might be looking for a missing person or something. But in associative remote viewing, we're looking to make an investment choice. And it's a binary investment the way we're doing it now. We've done multiple before. And in roulette, the binary choices are black or not black. And not black is red or green. And if you know nothing about roulette, I'll be explaining that later. But this makes it binary. And that's what's key. And then there are two possible targets. One is associated with black. Guess what the other one is associated with? It's associated with red or green. There's one green possibility there, and we always must have an outcome so we can give you feedback. So that's why there's red and green. Now, the actual target will be shown during the feedback session, will always be associated with the actual, I guess I said that wrong. The actual black, in fact, I want to change that right now. It's the actual black, just because I want to be clear. There are two choices. One is black, and the other is red red, green. Okay, so for you newbies, the key here is you must have a specific outcome so you get a specific target. So after the roll of the spin of the roulette wheel and the roll of the ball, we will have an outcome. Now, in here, between the analysis, at the end of the analysis, the analyst says, you know what? And we're going to do self-analysis today, each of us. You will say, oh, the match is much better and good enough to maybe wager, but of course you don't have to, on the black one. Okay, so you know that now, and if you wanted to, you can wager here, but you would record this in the system here, and then opportunity to wager before the outcome occurs. And then once the actual outcome occurs, here you are. You'll see that here. Now, that's ARV in linear time. I want to give you one other perspective, which is really what I believe is going on, because it's not linear. I don't think any of us believe in the normal sense of things we would be able to see and get information from the future. So this is the way I believe it actually occurs. In many ways, it starts with the feedback session where you have the truth. The feedback session, you are now looking at your target. And that is shared with your subconscious. And then there's a kind of handshake. A guy had a quantum mechanical model, and that's the term he uses for connecting the future with the past. And then, of course, the present with the future. And this is what I call entanglement energy. And you want to have positive feelings, focused intention, positive expectation to maximize this handshake. And that's why we spend so much time here to maximize the handshake. But the deepest part of what's going on is the connections with your sub, and everybody else's sub for that matter, is in what I call the universe of collective consciousness. Ingo Swann called it the matrix. Some people think of it as the higher self, all that is. It's a non-physical, deepest part of reality, which you are part of. And getting this sense of that deepness, I believe, is important during the remote viewing session and the feedback session. Okay, so that is ARV. It starts, we're doing purposeful ARV. It starts with the feedback session. The tasking is pretty normal. Describe and sketch your feedback target. Now, we use photo sites as targets, and they're photograph site locations at the specific time the photo is taken. So you want to gather information from the target photo. Shapes, motion, roughness, anything your nervous system can pick up, your subconscious can pick up and transmit to your consciousness. Some people want to move to the site if they've been trained in certain CRV or other things, and that's fine too. But in any case, your task is to describe and or sketch what can be obviously verified from the photo. The obvious comes because the judging state here, okay, really wants to distinguish between the two possible ones. Now, what I call first impression gestalts, which are very important, and those seem to get picked up early. If I were to flash a photo for just 10 milliseconds or something like that, you would pick up the big picture stuff. And we'll talk a little more about that later. But of course, you can get everything else that your normal nervous system could get. And that's how your subconscious is going to give you information from the UCC, from the matrix, from your higher self, from whatever. Okay, so your job is to describe and sketch obvious colors, motion, sound, shapes, texture, etc. in the feedback target. Now, the feedback target is a photo site, but I want to introduce you here. We've talked about analysis. We have developed, and I'll actually give you a little background on this later when we get there, on something called HAG, harsh analysis with gestalts. And I want to give you an example. Look at this photo site. It's perfectly good, possible target. But notice there are no people. In raw HAG, you would, if you had people on your transcript, you would get no credit for that. However, we give you the opportunity, the viewer is in charge of giving half credit and even full credit if you wanted to. But raw HAG would say, don't give any credit to it. There's no person in that photo. Okay, now I want to show you what we're going to work through in the rest of this discussion. And that's the viewer accuracy table, VAT. And it's really used in the analysis phase to improve your analysis. And it has two parts. One part, and you're going to be filling this out, is a collection of all the times you got things correct. Like color is a biggie here. Ideograms, which I will briefly discuss them, but you do not have to use them. Kinesthetics, etc. The most important part is the VAT percentage. Okay, so my dimensionals, now that's big, small, round. This says 100%. Notice there are only 4. And I must admit, I was developing some of this during debugging, so I don't know how exactly accurate it means, but it doesn't matter. You're going to have your own one of these. And here's people. So every time I say there's a person there, I had a high percentage. And land, and that's what this shows. I had no sounds, and that's something I ought to work on, and this points that out. So this now, once you have something like this, you're then able to look at your transcript and say, okay, how much of my transcript is associated with things which are usually high percentage? And then you can up your analysis score because of that. So we see this as being very important, and you're going to have one done by the end of today. So just to summarize, that info is entered during the feedback session because that's the only time you know what is correct. And this improves your target contact during your coupled RV session. Again, you're doing this with that being your intention. I want to share this information with my RV session. And saving the previous data, like this had 16 here, that allows me to do better analysis because I get to find out what I'm good at or bad at. Okay, no questions. Okay, so just 1 or 2 more on ARV. Joe McMonagle used to do at least 1 a day when he was in the armed forces at Fort Meade. He did more than that, but when he retired from there, he did 1 a day. And, use it or lose it was his approach. And he kept learning, and he got darn good at it, of course. Now, the idea is easy. Doing it really comes down to allowing the information from the UCC to get to your subconscious into your conscious mind. It wants to do that because sometimes it does it so well, but other times it doesn't, and there are a lot of personal blocks. The whole idea here is to light up. You understand what I mean by that? You're going to light it up so the remote viewing session can see it with attention, intention, and expectation. Positive feedback session is important, and that's with VAT, and you're going to be doing that. Okay, now we have something called a Precog Pro program where people can earn money, and they do, and we have a lot of them through our thing. I think we've had like 30 of them. Now, the idea is to find, nurture, and develop ARV professionals who can earn a living using their size skills. And anyone can do ARV, but to do it consistently well and become a Precog Pro takes discipline, learning about yourself, and taking total responsibility. The viewer is in charge. Education about the deep meaning of consciousness is fundamental, and I'm trying to share that with as many people as possible and get that out in terms of precognition and other side realities. And first with the individuals, and then if we can get a bunch of them who are successful, then global impact with many Precog Pros and other public psi organizations. So that's sort of a very general background. But now I want to give you our motivation for adding the viewer accuracy table, VAT. Now, as I said, anyone can do ARV, but to do it consistently well and become a Precog Pro and remain a Precog Pro takes discipline, learning about self, and managing continual improvement, working with your sub in the UCC. You know, what a marvelous goal to get in touch with your higher self, the UCC, understand and be able to get information from it separate from your intellect. That's what this really is all about. Now, we seem stuck. I've been doing this for many, many years, and I'm going to show you that. We seem stuck, and VAT will get us to the next level. No. Catherine, I see your question, and that's a change. We will be doing VAT and positive feedback on every target, hits and misses. There's stuff to be learned from misses now. That's actually a new point of view, period. So we'll do it always. I'll have more to say about that before. In the previous webinars when I talked about ARV, I did say we'd only do it on hits. So I understand where your question came from, but now we're doing it on hits and misses. I now believe there's a lot to learn from misses, and that makes that in spades. Okay, I'm trying now to...
Marty?
Yep.
Marty, I think you didn't see my hand. It's a technical question about the VAT. And it's about practicability. When I open the mail and I get to the feedback photo, below the feedback photo, I can click the VAT button. And when I click the VAT button, I get to a page and the former page disappears. Then I fill in all the VAT values. And when I click back or enter, then I get the thank you picture page, but I have to go back to the feedback photo, and so I have to go back to the email, click again, and also when I do the VAT values, I don't see the feedback photo because it's a new page. It would be more practical to have a second window, you know what I mean? So I can keep
I do. Well, you do have the window there, but yes, you have to go back and forth now. Now, that's an interesting suggestion. When we get there, let's see if there'd be room for feedback on the same page, because I think you're making a suggestion already, which most people won't understand until I get there. But thank you for that suggestion, and we'll take a look at that. Yeah, no, I understand exactly what you mean. I always do an alt tab and go back and forth. But anyway, okay, so let's move forward. Why do we need VAT? Here's a Precog Pro. And look how good he's doing. The red line is a cumulative of his hit rate, ignoring passes. And look, he's up to 65%, which is not, and these are 50-50 probabilities. His 25-day, which is green, is way up at 80%. I mean, that's what many years ago, I said that was our major objective, was to get 80%. And then the 10-day was actually up to 90%. He got 9 out of 10 correct here. However, and this is why we need VAT. Okay, so here he was learning. Notice what happened after that. He had his 90%, then his 10-day dropped all the way down to 50%. So if you were wagering, now you're back to 50% out of his last 10. 50%, back up to 90, but look how much it fluctuates. This shows where the reliability issue is so key. Of course, what we'd like is to have him stay around here like he was here, to stay there. But in any case, notice he was at maybe the 64% level or so. Here's another person. Same thing. The doing really well early. The average cumulative was at 70%. Here she had 10 out of 10. But down here to 50%, but down here to 30%. Only 3 out of the last 10 were correct. So very hard to feel comfortable wagering on that. But of course, you don't know that as it's developing. And so this unreliability is what really hurts the analysis. But notice by the end, the cumulative is again around 65%, all of them around 65%, which is good. In fact, this person earned almost $3,500 in our Precog Pro program. So there's nothing wrong with 65%, but we need to get the reliability because you really can't wager well without having the reliability. Now, I want to show you something else that goes way back to 2004. This is the person, the best to my knowledge that I've worked with, got 14 hits in a row, 0 misses with 9 passes in there. Okay, so look how good. And here we just were keeping the cumulative. Guess where he ended off? 66%. So we need to break out of this long-term 65, 66%. And that's what I believe that will do, because I believe we will light up that target so bright that the remote viewing session will see it, the subconscious will share. Now, Shane, one of our Precog pros, when he first started, he said, I want to get to level 7. We start at level 1, and you can make good money at level 1 and 2. But by the time you get to level 3, 4, and 5, you're now at the point where you can be earning a living. And level 7, you're earning a really, really nice living. But he worked out this probabilities after he had a hard time reaching it. And we're at 65%. And as I say, you can see that's still pretty good. If you're 65%, you can get into the Precog Pro program with about a 50% probability. Moving up a level, he says 30. And to get to level 7 is one out of 2,600. Our goal is to get to between 70 and 75%. Who knows? Someday someone might do 80%. Let's see if we can go from 65 to 70 or 75%. That's the goal. And then you can move up a level each time with a 50% or a 70% probability. Okay, now, notice in all of this, there is an implication, even though you don't have to do it. And I think more than half of the people who are doing this don't wager. They're doing it to learn about their own consciousness. And that's marvelous. Um, and they are. It's just interesting, the stuff that comes up and you say, oh, I see that connection. But if you do wager, wager wisely for the long term and get rich slowly. If you get this egg, and a reliable one, that's why you need to look at your charts, you can improve and deepen your contact with your subconscious, which is the main goal here. And that's what I say here. The primary benefit of ARV and applying precognition is allowing a strong working relationship. And notice I say allowing with your subconscious mind, higher self, the matrix, the UCC, God, or whatever you want to call these non-physical, non-local aspects of you and the universe. Okay, are you with me? Were there any more questions? Okay, so let's go now. Get yourselves ready. We're about to do, okay, thanks, Sean. We're about to do a new prediction. Now, your newbies, this work is being done in the webinar workshop group. We have lots of other groups. This group now has 122 members. In fact, I sent out tasking to that group yesterday, and I got 2 or 3 taskings back. But now what I'd like to do is add, I guess it was SC and me. Give me your email addresses and I'll add you to this group. And then you'll be able to actually get the prediction email today, which I sent out to everybody else, but you'll be able to get it and use it. So SC and me, would you please give me your email addresses in the general chat box? Okay, so I bet you're SC. Oops. See. Me. Pokeries. Me. Okay, anybody else? Looks like it's not. Oop. Yeah, that's a shame, Linda, but still you can follow. In fact, you know what? When we get to the appropriate part, yeah, I understand. Put it in as passes so you can still do a feedback session on this one. Okay. Hey, I got to do something about that. I'm directly adding you. And I'll add you too. I am not a robot. Add members. Okay. So you two are now in right here. Okay, good. I don't think I'll keep it. I don't think I'll need it. So you're registered. And now here's a typical page. Everything is done over the internet via email. And this would be a typical tasking page that you would get for any group you're in. I hope you'll also join one or more of our other prediction groups. And this is the webinar workshop. The event was Roulette. I have the dates here. And this is where you would click. Now on PowerPoint, I can't quite make that active. So I put it down here, but all you would do is click there. Oh, and wait, let me go back. for the newbies. Oh no, this would be, this is the page to get here. So I want to make sure you two newbies, Control C, putting that in the chat box. Okay. So click that, and the other people are clicking exactly the same thing from the tasking page, where they might want to click it here now. And once you click the tasking page, you should see something just like this. And then you put in your email address. Your email address is unique, and that's how you're known in the system, by your email address. Notice webinar workshop is done. And then I'm going to click here. Now, this is unusual for me. I have a little, I don't know what you call those things anymore, but I have something I always do my stuff on, and I have my coordinate. So each of you should have a coordinate. And the oldies sort of know what to do with it, but they may want to listen or not. Viewers in charge. So I am putting on the top left of a piece of paper, and that's what your newbie should do, your coordinate. Okay. And once you have your coordinates, you're ready to go. But let me go back to the presentation. Okay, so you just clicked on that. I presume no one had trouble, or if you have any trouble, you let me know immediately. And now your task is going to be to describe and sketch your with that coordinate. Well, this is what you just did. And this is the page you see with your email and your coordinate, so you know everything is okay. And then now you're ready. Once you have your coordinate, you now do your RV session. So for newbies, I'm going to give you a little information about that now. So write your coordinate on the top left of the page. A lot of people like to say it out loud, and then they'll say it out loud at feedback. Again, another way of kind of lighting it up. Again, you're always doing this with the intention of that handshake. Do your preliminaries, your name, the date, the time, the group. Allow information to come from your UCC to your conscious mind. Now, your intellectual mind, your left brain, if you will, wants to help. And it lots of times will give information which it just doesn't feel like it came from your subconscious. That's called an analytical overlay. I also add the word trash. You definitely want to write those things down on the right, and then you go on and you get more information. Now I'm going to give you a few examples here. You're going to see more of this one. This is mine, the one I'm going to take all the way through for you. You can see the coordinates at the top, but then I said it again here, and I started with what's called an ideogram. All this other stuff I'm going to be saying later, but I did 3 ideograms and a sketch. And you can see the kinds of words I got. People, structure, that was kind of a nice match. Round. But, you know, if you haven't yet been trained in this, this is much simpler. And this is what I actually recommend a brand new newbie do. You put your coordinate, then put it on the top here. Teresa just jumps in on a sheet of paper with a coordinate and does an ideogram. Now, the ideogram is something, it's like a squiggle. You do it, it takes 1 to 2 seconds. You're not thinking about it. That's the beauty of it. Guess where it comes from? It comes from your subconscious. And Ingo Swann used to say, all the information about the site is in here. And a lot of people will actually tap on it to get more information. And then you just stay open and words will come, a sketch will come. In this case, of course, she did very well. Red, blood, blood red thing, metallic, moving parts. So you can see. But I want to give you another one. People developed their own techniques. I'm only showing this one just to show there isn't a universal. All of these were hits. It's just a very different type. I don't think any of you would want to do that. So I do recommend, and we're getting ready to do it, you simply coordinate, ideogram, whatever comes next. And then, usually it comes pretty quickly. Most of us do a second ideogram and then a third ideogram. And all of this does not take much time. All of this is 5 to 10 minutes. And I like to suggest it should fit on one page, because when we do analysis, we don't want too much information. Okay, now ARV is a natural capability. The idea here, and we're getting ready to do this, is you drop your intellect, drop your ego, stay within whatever protocol you sort of decided on. The newbies, I've given you a suggestion, but you may just want to do whatever you want to do. The first one, you'll say, I don't have much of a protocol, but you just do whatever you do. And then I want you now to focus on your breathing. We're doing a cool down. Relax. Get in a positive thinking mode. Focus on your breathing. Relax. Keep your mind open to getting information. We've started our cool down here. Joe McMonagle and Tom believe it's very important. Tom does a silent prayer to his really all-knowing God. Some people like to put music on. 7 minutes. I'm going to give you 7 minutes. Listen to your subconscious. Your ego intellect, its only job is to put whatever you get from your subconscious onto the transcript. I'll tell you when a minute is left. Okay, I'm going to start the 7 minutes now. And I am actually going to do one as well. So okay, I've started the timer. Six. Okay, you have 1 minute left, perhaps to another ideogram and get more information. Or if you're done, put EOS end of session on the bottom of your transcript. Okay, go ahead, put end of session on the bottom of your transcript. Stretch a little. You went someplace else when you were picking information. The guys that do it for a long time really get spaced out. It takes them a while to get back to a normal state. In our case, it's shorter. So hopefully you're in your normal state now. And what I'm going to show you is an old transcript and tell you what you should do with yours. Again, this is the transcript we're working on because it's my most recent one. And it's got a lot of stuff on it. But right now, focus on the red. I like to use different colors for different things. And the red is to mark every element. That includes an ideogram if you did one. If you didn't, just the words. You can see here, up, straight, 3. Here's 4 for a rock. Here's another ideogram I marked. Forget the green. I'll be discussing those later. But right now, on your transcript, mark every single element because you're going to be using that for analysis. Okay, so I think you've done that. Okay, Dimitri, no problem. It was approximately 1. Okay, so you've numbered every element. Why are we back there? Okay. Okay, so now that you've got them numbered, we're ready to start our analysis and judging. And that comes down to choosing between photosite A and photosite B. We have no idea if that means black or red-green. Just photosite A, photosite B for now. And you're going to match your transcript to 2 possible targets. Before I show you really how to get to that page, I just want you to understand we use a TARG confidence ranking system, which goes from 0 to 7. 0, 1, and 2 are nothing to just chance. 3 has maybe a little bit of what you might consider would be good information, but just marginal. That's on the marginal. 4 has good correspondence with several matchable elements, and it's intermixed with incorrect information. We consider 3.5 to be wagerable. You're going to see that in a moment. And a 5 is very good. That's unambiguous, unique matchable elements, but still some incorrect information. And 6 and 7 get to where that analytical information is correct. You function the target, name of the target. Now, HAG, which you're about to use, is started, in fact, what I just showed you was Russ Targ's verbal development of SRI. And then Joe McMonaco really pointed out rather forcefully that the gestalts ought to be worth half of the analysis. So however your judging is, half of it should be these gestalt, the HAG. And then Tom McNair added this harsh portion to it. He's a nice guy. And it modifies the arithmetic a little bit, none of which you have to do. It's all automated. Okay, now what are these first impression gestalts? Well, they're kind of things, if you just flash something, and water was a major part of it, you would notice it. Land, shape is often important. Space, air, something is in the air. Man-made, a structure, a natural vegetation, biological, alive, people, animal, all those sorts of things, if they're a major part of the photo, some dominating color. And sometimes there are surprising things that turn out to dominate, and they can be hags too. The key is they're major features, and there's usually 2 or 3 of those. Okay, so you got your coordinate, right? Go back to the page where you got your coordinate. And now you need to get your transcript onto your computer, and you're going to browse for it. And then when you click submit, you will start. Now, getting it to your computer, name it like the coordinate or something like that, somewhere where you can find it. And then you browse for it. Now, I, in fact, took a picture of mine. And And so I am going to use that picture. Okay, so is that clear? Okay. And then when you do that, you click on the submit button. Okay, I'm just hoping you've had time to do that. Sometimes this takes a while if you're not familiar. I'm going to assume you have. If you need more time, just let me know. But when you do that, and when you click on the submit button, so after you browse, something will come in this box. You can then click submit, and there you go. You will get 2 photos, analysis judging page. The 2 possible photo sites are first shown individually and then together. Be sure to scroll all the way down and enter your CIs. So you will have your photo there. And then you go through each element. Remember those elements that you marked? Of course you do. These all have these drop boxes. They're pull down menus. You click on the little inverted, I don't know what it is. I don't know what, caret, maybe it's called a caret. And you will then, for photo site A, have the choice of a big A, a little a, or nothing. If you ignore it, you'll get the nothing. If you click big A, you'll see a big A there or a little a. And that means a big A means, yep, that's definitely in there, matches photo site A. Now remember, you're going to do this with photo site B too. So you got to be totally honest and individual when you judge both of them individually. We've had cases where there have been 5s on both, legitimate 5s on both. So just don't assume anything. Definitely analyze them both using all of your elements. And then here's where the fig becomes in. It's a number between 0 and 1 in steps of 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, up to 1. So you look at your photo, you look at your transcript, and did you capture the big picture items? You know, if there's an ocean with a liner on it, did you get water and structure, water and man-made? Those would be 2 figs in that example. But you should be able to identify the major big picture stuff. And if you got them all, give yourself a 1. If you got 1 out of 2, give yourself a half. If you got 1 out of 3, give yourself a 0.3. If you got 2 out of 3, give yourself a 0.6. So this is subjective, but very important. Okay, so I went down from photo site A. I went to photo site B, which was further down. And then after you do all those, and you're probably not done, but you know, you're sort of listening to me, and as you go down the page, it's become more obvious. Plus, I want to do mine. You click here for the HAG analysis, and it'll look like that. And I think you should ignore all of that. This is the arithmetic that lets the fig be 50%. Ignore all of that. But on your paper, on your transcript, put CRA and CRB and your figs. Just put them over in the corner someplace and, you know, mark them special so you'll know what they are. Here's what I did on my transcript that you've already seen lots of times, but this portion of it was here. I also used the green for marking good stuff you'll see later, but the first one was 4.73, 2.71, and then I had the figs. And that was an A for photo site A and a B for photo site B. Okay, so you should be doing that now. And if you don't mind, I am going to do mine, but I don't want to share because it'll prejudice you. So I'm going to bring this over here. And when you get to this point, we'll move on. Remember, this analysis phase, when you think about it, is the most important because you are going to be choosing based on what your photosite A or photosite B is associated with, the black or the not black. Now, you newbies, why don't you tell me when in fact you're done? Because if I'm not done by then, I'll move ahead anyway. And the old bees are, and they're probably drinking a cup of coffee by now. Okay.
Marty,
Go ahead.
Essie here, the newbie. Could you please say what the fig is again and how I score it?
Okay. The fig is the first impression gestalt. If you were to look at something very, very, very quickly, you wouldn't see any of the details. You'd see some of the big picture stuff.
Okay.
You know, I mean, that's basically what it is.
Okay.
Okay. And usually there's 1, 2, sometimes 3 of those.
So yeah, it's me again. And so how do I score that? So if you is it 0.1 for each of the big things, or
Oh, it'd be a percentage. So how many figs do you think you have on your picture?
1?
Okay. If you got it, you give yourself 100%. If you didn't get it, you give yourself 0. And that's for each one. So one might be 0, the other one might be 1. See what I'm saying? You've got to do it for both photo sites, and they're different. So you would do it element by element differently. But if there's only one major fig, then you either get a 0 or a 1. Well, and sometimes you may sort of have gotten it, and then you give yourself, a half.
Okay, get it, go.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Hi, Marty. It's me again.
Okay, go
So,
ahead. Your questions are probably good for others too, so please keep
so
asking.
when I get to the CR to enter the CR for photosite A and photosite B,
Now
am I
wait,
using?
don't you
Yeah.
wait for that because we're going to do VAT. So good.
Okay.
So you're there. Um, is everybody else there? Essie, are you there?
Yeah.
Or are you Essie? I don't know your
I'm
vote.
Essie. I'm Essie. Yeah.
Okay, and the other one was me. Me, are you there? You can turn on your mic or put something in the chat box. Or did you leave? Me, are you still there? Let's- Okay. Okay, let's wow. Mine is very good. I don't know if some of yours are good. I don't know if I ought to share it or not. Yeah, probably not. Okay. So now let's go to the next one. Me, you're either continuing to do it or you're left or whatever. But let's go to the next one. So before you finalize your CRs, before VAT, that's what we would do now. We would round off what we got from HAG and put it in here, photosite A, photosite B. But before you do that, I just want to show you the table. You're not going to use it yet, but when you click this, in fact, and then you finalize. So as soon as you click here, you old bees will in fact get a table. The newbies will probably get something that says you need to do at least one session. Is that what happened to you, Essie? So you can click on it now. And since you don't have any history, it'll say something like you don't have any history. Are you with me?
Yes, I am. Yeah, it says I got that.
Okay. Now, you're going to have one by the end of this. So the next time you do an analysis on a new prediction, you will get, it obviously will be much simpler than mine, but it'll begin to give you an indicator of what you're good at, what you've done, and you could then use it to influence your CRs. Raise them a little bit if it is with something you've done good before. That's typically what you do it for. I guess if it's something brand new, you probably leave it alone. I mean, HAG is not bad by itself, but this can make it better. In fact, sometimes you might even switch to the other side because you might have had fewer things, but they're the kind of stuff you usually get, which is really good. So that's the purpose of that. And then when you click this submit button, it'll tell you, even now, you put in some notes into yours. In fact, I want to go back to mine. And see. I don't usually do my own, but Wow. But I'm using that, and this is an opportunity for me to get more data. Okay. So I'm now putting in my CRs, rounded off. There.
And Monty, it's me again, Essie.
Yep.
Can I just ask you about putting in the CRs? Am I putting in the CR that is kind of just generated from the math, or am I putting in a CR that I have ascertained looking at the TARG confidence rankings?
No, from HAG, and then you round it up or down to get the, when you do the drop down, you get numbers, many rounded off to 0.5, except the low numbers. And this is where normally the VAT, you might round up a little bit, round down a little bit. But for your first one, you probably just round to the nearest number using HAG.
So I'm sorry, HAG is there's too many acronyms. So HAG is the
Well, that's when
calculation.
you clicked it.
Uh-huh.
Um,
And it gave me two numbers, the CRA and the CRB.
That's right. Those are the
okay.
ones you round off and put here.
Right, got you.
Okay, put them in. Put in a note. Gee, my first ARV section with VAT. And then, oh boy. Okay, and then underneath your note is a submit CR. You click that. And on that page, it will tell you what your prediction is. Let me see what my prediction is. Okay, so I have a personal prediction. So I'm writing, I usually use a little squiggle thing. So I have A 7 B, and I am putting which direction I predicted. Okay. So is everybody up to there okay? Very good. Okay, Carmen, you're connecting to your computer now. I don't know if you had a chance to do a session.
Not today, Marty. I just
Okay,
arrived.
but you can watching all of this, and this is recorded.
But I
Okay,
was listening to you the whole time.
okay, very good. Okay, excellent, excellent. So now, and I know you have other sessions, so next time you do one, you will get a VAT table. Now it's time to see the outcome. So we're right between the analysis, which we just did, and the outcome and the feedback. So here is where we need to do something. I'm using something called betus.com. In no way do I want to encourage this, but some people wager all the time, and this is a way of doing it. So they are here. Am I logged in? I am logged in, so I'll click Casino. And then Live Dealer. Yeah, I was out too long. Casino. We want a live dealer. They're going to ask me for money. I'm going to put $25 in. I'll only bet 5, but you'll see in a moment how that works. Here's roulette. Okay. Oh, wait, I need to get it from here. And notice this is European style, which is really cool. I mean, this is giving us pretty good odds. There's only one green. So there are two choices, black or red and green. If either one of those come up, that would be the winner. So my particular, and please, I really recommend if you're doing this, you go on your own, but mine will be used to come up with the general outcome. Okay, so I'm going to place my bet on black. And this is the next spin. So that's the way I wanted to do it. So we'll see. The outcome from here is the outcome from our prediction. If any of you wanted to wager, you of course could do the same thing from that website. But in terms of what we did today, this will determine the outcome. And of course, I'm hoping for black. Some people think now's the time to use PK.
You read my mind.
Ah, okay. So it went to red. So I lost $5. But the outcome now is red green. It's got nothing to do with me. It's got to do with the outcome. So on my page, I'm writing miss. Outcome was red. Did any of you get a hit? Did anybody get a hit? Nobody's talking to me. So that means you got passes or nothing, or you're really just trying to learn and watch. And I'm okay with that too. So I'm going to get rid of this. And rid of that. And need anything from
Mari,
yeah.
so you chose the black because on the session that you did, that was a prevalent color. How did it work? Because I didn't do it. I'm sorry. I was driving.
Okay. I actually did a pretty good session on photo site A for photo site A. So photo site A, it told me I was black when I clicked that submit. And that's how I knew, but that meant the other one was red. Is that clear or not clear? Here, when you submitted this, you submitted your CRs, the next thing that comes up is it'll tell you if you were black or red and green, and I came up black. What did you come up?
I couldn't do it, Mari. So that's why I'm a little bit lost. So, but it's great. Thank you for showing me. I'll probably do it later.
I mean, you just didn't click. Oh, you didn't put in the CRs.
I didn't do the session at all. I was driving. I was at the. I was out.
Okay. How about Essie? You did the session. What did you get?
Yeah, so I got photo site A as well, black, and that was pretty. I mean, it was a 6 on when I rounded it up. So, I just wonder, you know, and photo site B was like a 0.
That's interesting. I want you to know I did the same thing.
Yeah.
So let's now go to the next step.
So Marty, Marty,
Go
Kelly,
ahead.
I was just going to say, I did a session this morning and I did get red green.
Oh, okay, good. Who am I talking to?
Kelly,
Okay, Kelly, good for you. And you'll go ahead now and get through to the VAT portion. Did anybody else do? In fact, I saw 2 or 3 people do some before. Anybody else? Interesting. Okay, well done, Kelly. Now let's go ahead with feedback. Now, I get a little philosophical here, but you got to remember what we're doing is very deep and very heavy, very cutting edge with consciousness, which is the basics of life. And your life choices, co-creative. You're co-creative with the universe of collective consciousness, whatever you want to call it, on a moment-to-moment basis using free will. Notice all choices you make can only be made in the moment. And what you do in the moment is you can change your inertia. So much of what we do is just simply based on what we've learned before. We have so much inertia, it's amazing. I am trying to convince all of you to a commitment for 25 predictions. So in the moment, you can make a commitment to do that you will use VAT, just like we've described here. We're going to do the feedback shortly for 25 predictions. That commitment can be made in the moment, but then you need to carry it out, of course, moment to moment to moment. And same old thinking, same old results. If you do what you always do, you get what you always get. And I'm really hoping more and more of you will do this because I want more Precog pros. We need more Precog pros. Why not become a Precog pro? And I believe that will assist you. Okay, so from the earlier example, you're probably getting sick and tired of this one now, but now we're getting to the good part. This for me was a hit, but I'm going to do the same thing with my miss one as this. And the new thing that's going on here is, you see the green? I love different colors. The greens are my hits. So this was my transcript. And now I got the feedback, and you're going to get yours shortly. I'll give you a link to that shortly. Notice I got round, I got multiples, I got movement. There was a cluster. I had put this before. When I get 3 or more things right after one another, I call that a cluster. And I find those are quite valuable, at least for me. Here I got motion. I wrote movement here. Here, you probably can't see it, but I wrote after here. Again, remember, this is all for you. I'm doing this on my transcript. Some people like to copy their transcript and keep it virgin, and of course, that's fine. And then I got people, then I got structure. So this was a pretty good one. So now the positive feedback protocol is you always do a positive feedback session. And I'm saying about the misses first here, because this is a change. So you can learn from your misses, and we'll talk about that shortly. And basically be professional. The key thing about displacements, which I stopped doing misses, too many people got so upset they were dwelling on it. Why did it happen? How did it happen? Don't dwell on it, just move on. And still do your positive feedback with the session to learn something. How do you learn something?
Excuse me, Marty. Could you tell me what is a displacement?
A displacement is not only a miss, but it's a miss like Essie got, a 6. If you get a
like mine,
really
yeah.
high score, I mean, she got such a good match. So more than a miss, it's called a displacement.
Okay.
You know, if you rank it a 4, it's not displacement. A 5 is on the margin. A 5.5 and above, I would say, is displacement, because that's really, you know, those are good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and then on your transcript, you do what I just showed you. I believe you circle or mark matches on your transcript, and now you're really enjoying this. Again, you're lighting this up. and you're lighting up the good stuff, whether it's a hit or a miss. And then on a new sheet of paper, you basically do the RV session you wish you had done in an RV mode. You know, you don't trace it. You do an RV session. You put the coordinate on the left, you put your name on the right, and you do the session you wish you had done. So, you know, you probably would have all the good stuff from before, but then you add things. And this is what's called a positive feedback transcript. So this is an actual new transcript. And then you enter your accuracy table. And then throughout this process, just consciously enjoy positive emotions and feelings. Why not? And that helps, and do it with the intention as you're doing all of this of sharing those good feelings with your remote viewing session, and having it go through the subconscious. This is where this handshake comes in. And then why not spend at least a moment feeling love, joy, feeling positive, whatever you can, as with the good stuff as this is going on. When you pass over to the other side, as much of this as you have, the better. Okay, so this was my transcript. You already saw that, and you saw the circling I did, but then the next thing is my positive feedback. I just put PFB, positive feedback session. I've done enough of these that that's all I ever have to write. And so I had the people as before, but I didn't get any colors, and I'm really trying to work on colors. So I wrote gray and yellow. There was my circle, which I said, and structure, though I didn't do it as a sketch. And this was hot, another sketch. And these are the rectangular things which I didn't get. And that's what I put in. Okay. So now when we do VAT, and I'll have to send you the link on that, you know, not knowing what it was, I couldn't do this until now, but let me just tell you a little bit about VAT, and then you can do it. The VAT inputs will, from feedback, remember, this is the only time you know the truth, will look like element categories, but not the same ones as before where you put them in. These we've chosen, whatever's here, 15 or so, and you go through and mark the best one. Like, it looks like I got one color. Oh, I think that was dark, but I only gave it a half. But the dimensionals were multiples. I put dimensionals and multiples. Some other people might want to put it in other. You will develop your own system. Clearly man-made. I got man-made. Directly, I got motion. So notice those are ones. The choices here are 0, a half, or 1. And then after that, oh, I don't know what happened there. Okay. Okay. So then after the element categories, you then get the percent accuracy. Now, both of those are for this session, but of course, all of this data is saved, and that's how you get the global. And so like I had black, here I made it a 0.5. You know, I don't know. I didn't think it was a real good color. I said dark, not black. And the dimensionals, those were good. My clusters were 0.5 because notice this cluster was right on, but there were other clusters, like here I got 2, here I only got 1, here I got 9, and I made it a 0.5. That was my judgment because this cluster was really good. If there was only 1 and this was it, and it's right, I would have given it a 1. If all I had was this cluster, I would have given it a 0. So that's the concept here. And then you click here and you're done. Okay, so now let me go and do my magic for putting in the prediction.
Sorry, Marty, could you just say what a cluster is again?
What a what is?
Cluster.
Yeah, a cluster. Thank you. You know, I've been doing this too long and with people who know these words. Do you see where I circled round, multiples, and movement?
Yeah.
All three of those came one after another. And I like that. I find when my subconscious, and it's all coming in very fast, this whole session, hey, look, started at 5:22, it ended at 5:25. Usually my sessions take about 5-6 minutes, but this one took 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes, depending on round off. So everything is coming in fast. So when this came in, 3 of them in a row that were right on, I call that a cluster, a correct cluster. Does that help? Well, that's the definition. In fact, here I had 2. I like 3 to be a real cluster, but there was a cluster of 2 that were correct.
Marty, just to kind of clarify, when you're doing this percent accuracy, this part of it, like the first part of it, I missed the first hour, so I'm just commenting on this feedback.
That's okay.
portion.
This is the VAT table is new for you.
Yeah, but here on the when you're doing the percent accuracy, you're looking, you've already got some information in there, but what you're trying to do on this part is like if you had 5 colors and only 2 were correct, then you would only give yourself credit for like
0.4.
20%, 40%, something like that. You would just give yourself credit for that. So this is where you're actually going through everything that's in your session and saying, well, I got some of it right, but not the rest of it.
That's right. You look at all the colors and how accurate were all. And my cluster was like that. I looked at all my clusters. Well, I looked at all the sort of the potential clusters, and I gave it a 0.5. That was kind of a judgment. Things like dimensionals, like motion, and, you either have motion or you don't have motion. Well, maybe that could have been a little motion and you might give it a 0.3 or 0.4. It's your judgment. All of this is about you.
Like on the ideograms, like
Yeah.
you've mainly got ideograms here on this session. So say that you've got 3 ideograms and you judge that 2 of them are right. So you would just give yourself credit for those 2, like 2/3 of it, 66%.
Right.
The feeling motion, if you broke those down, like I would consider those A ones being like the round and multiples and over and down and whatever that one is.
I would say, now that you're pointing this out,
Yeah.
this was an error because it was in B.
Yeah.
I
See,
should have given it, and I believe, and I would personally give it credit there, and I'd also give it credit here for motion. I
Yeah.
forgot to give it credit here. This is all new to me. I haven't done that.
I would too. But see, like on here on the feeling motion for A, I would count up like you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 descriptors, and I would count 2 out of 5. Is that how you would do that?
Yes. For A, I got 2 out of 5, and I should have done something for that. I clearly was rushing this. In fact, I did better than I should have. But you're absolutely right. And I hope you all learned from that.
Well, I guess there's actually 4 ideograms. I wasn't looking at the top one as being an ideogram, but I just want to make sure that I was thinking about it right, because that's how I've been thinking about it.
Yes, you're thinking about it right. Like B, God, look at B. B, I got 1, 2, 3 out of 4 because people were there too. So I'd give myself a 0.7 probably. And A, and this is the way to do it, that was nothing. And then I got 1A. So I got 1 out of 4. So that'd be a 0.2. And the ideograms, I got none, which is unusual for me, actually. On others, I've done pretty well on ideograms.
There's no way to enter that. Like if you don't get any if you got 4 ideograms and you don't have any of them correct, there's no way to enter that.
I have thought about that because not only you brought it up, Donna brought it up, I brought it up, and I've decided I want this to be positive. So when you use it, I mean, if there are no ideograms, there are no ideograms, so it won't be if the Enneagram percentage is low, you're not going to pay maybe that much attention to it when you reevaluate your analysis. Does that
Right,
make sense?
It's kind of, it didn't at first. I guess the closest analogy it comes to for me is in HAG, you do that. Like if you got 30 things in HAG and you're only using 15 of them, the 15 is the only ones that count. So it's kind of in sync with HAG, but it kind of, I don't know, it's uncomfortable.
Well, that's because you don't think you're learning about what you missed. And if you wanted to keep a separate table of that, okay. But VAT is definitely, in my mind, set up to give the positive. What is it you do well? The stuff that you're not doing well, you might work on. So this is so important. So please keep asking questions, and others ask questions too.
Martin,
Yes?
who is talking to me? This is Linda.
Hi, Linda.
Okay. I find, for me personally, it's more easy to work with the percentage accuracy than with the other one. I don't know how you call it. And it kind of confuses me to first do the 3 evaluation of if I have at all one of those elements, and then giving 1 a 0.5 or 0, and then go to the accuracy with the percentage. It feels more easy, and for me to just go with the percentage and put in how well did I do with the colors or the dimensions or whatever. It makes it more easy, and I don't know exact the reason why we have that first step.
Well, that's a very good point. And let me make this real clear. If all you wanted to do was the percent table, the viewer is in charge. The system would work, and the first table would just be zeros. So you can do that. This comes through Tom McNair, who also wanted to know what were the things people were predicting the most. Did people say structure the most? Like, let's look at a color. On the previous one, if you got, right, the element categories, let's say you did 5 colors and red and blue were right. You would put red as a 1. Notice mine was confusing because dark was just not a really good color. But let's say you did red and there was red there. You could click this, submit the VAT, no, click, oh, I'm on percent. Wait, I want to go back. Element categories. You could click your element category again and say, oh, I'm seeing that color. It turned out to be red. You could click this and you would do it again for blue, but then you ignore the other 3 at this level. You just say, yep, I got some color. It's the next level that tells you you only got 20% or 40%. But if that's the only one you're interested in, I don't know, maybe that's enough. I will tell you that I have always felt the percentage table is definitely the most important table.
I just want to understand the thinking behind it. I just want to understand so I don't miss it. But at the moment, it does not make so much sense. Quite as the person. Yeah.
I think I understand what Linda's asking. I think she's talking about the joshing table, where we go josh the components of the signal line.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what she's talking about. And Linda, that's the most important one, because that's the one that creates the HAG, and the HAG is what is going to give you the values so that you can value which one you got more information from them. Actually, Marty, if you allow me, I would like to share my screen to ask you a question, and that probably will answer Linda's questions too.
Okay, and then we can go ahead and have you all do it. Go ahead.
Okay, so what I want to share with you is like, this was a fail. So I'm gonna do the first one that had a positive feedback on this one, which is the one that you share. And I really like this one. So my line analysis, which is what Linda was asking about. So you basically label every single one of, let me see if I can do the drawing. It doesn't let me draw. Okay, so you basically put one to the curving, twisting, dropping. So every one of those, I put a value to those. And then on the B or the A components, then I do the 0, a 5, or a 1. So if a solid structure thing, which is what you call a cluster, I just learned that today, Mari. Okay, so that was a cluster. But what it was very interesting about this particular session for me is that at the end that I'm receiving, well, let me show you something here. So here you can see it's 4.5 and 3.5. So I'm perceiving, at this point, I was perceiving both pictures, and it was very hard because one is 4.5 and the other is 3.5. So it should have been a pass. And I was like, I'm not gonna pass anymore. I'm gonna stick to my guts and choose what's going on. But if you look at my, I do have some of analytical overlays that come over, but my line normally is very accurate. My wiggly line is normally the one that has the most information, and I'm trusting that. But at the end, so like the funny thing here is that here I keep a round blue lagoon, and I wrote it out that, and I drew it, and I'm seeing the trees and all that. But then when I keep going and I did the line again, so I did it 3 times because I was like, well, this one doesn't go with the previous one, which is angles and more solid stuff. So I was a little bit confused with this one. And then this symbol that looked like a hatchet, I drew it, but it's my analytical mind said it was a hatchet because it looks like a hatchet. But then I was seeing water, and then I drew the face, and this is the part that I like the most. I drew a face. But then when I decide to stop the session is when I start getting like weird stuff from my mind, like fairies, flowers, like, okay, time to stop. And so that's when I end the session. And this was the
Same
2
target as
pictures.
mine, right?
So
Did you
so if you
use-
see this picture with the
Sure.
that looks like a hatchet, then I drew that on the inverted for
No,
coordinate
it
remote
looks
viewing.
like the cylinder, the flat cylinder above. It's exactly that.
This one,
Yeah.
yeah. But the weirdest thing for me is like I wrote red round blue lagoon, and you have a round blue lagoon, but none of the information was related to that.
Right.
I only
right.
had water and this, and I went. The reason I chose because I love that this guy was the side of it. So I drew his
Did
face.
you use HAG and
I
VAT
did.
on
I
this?
always use Hug, yeah.
And HAG did give you the right one.
Well, Hug gave me 4.5 for
Right.
A and 3.5 for B.
Okay, good for HAG, because when you see Blue Lagoon, you know, that only get, okay, now what about VAT? You did
So
VAT?
that's what I was telling you. This was very hard for me, Marty, because I'm receiving on the single line, I'm receiving both pictures.
Right.
So receiving both pictures and very strong is like, okay, how do you choose?
Yes, well, you've got to work on that. Obviously, that's a major thing for you to work on.
I did. I think I got it. But
Okay.
and this one was a pass. I got it. So I chose to go with, because of at the end that I perceived the people. That's the reason I chose picture A, because I received people. I said people here. Face, person, perfil en español is side, like when you're seeing somebody by the side, like silhouette. And when
Right.
the words come in Spanish, I'll just write it in Spanish. I don't even worry about what is coming up. But then I want to show you one that I failed, and I learned from that failure, because this one, I was very stubborn on this one. So my whole signal line is showing me the curves, the rounds. Oh, it's too big. It's showing me the curves, the rounds, the dropping, and I'm even drawing it. And then this wiggly lines, and then I'm drawing the wiggly lines up here, and then the wiggly lines out there, and then I'm seeing a frame. So I was seeing this frame. And the reason I failed on this one, I did perceive a life form. So I perceive a life form and yellow, black stripes. So the problem with this one, it was very confusing also for me this way, because when I saw the picture, I thought that this is what I was seeing, just because of, and this is what I was trying to tell you when it's like cognitive bias. I'm being biased towards my line instead of being neutral. Because what I drew really was this one, although I never perceived the black, all my drawings was the cave. So I was drawing the cave, and I was drawing the wiggly things on the cave. You see the cave out there with all the wiggly things? And when I saw the picture, I saw that, but I was very stubborn, like, no, it's not that, it's the horses.
Did you
And
get ahead?
no, I didn't get a hit because I chose the horses instead of the cave. And most of my line was the cave. So this is a case where I'm perceiving both. And then I have you told me that I could ask you here when you have that cognitive bias.
Well, that's right. You seem to get both a lot.
Yes, and a lot of information, so it's more than 40, so I had to squeeze them in, because I can go up to 60 elements.
Wow. So that takes a lot of time. Maybe, especially if you go back and look, maybe it'll turn out that your early stuff is the best.
Actually, the ones that I haven't failed have been just based at the ending, like the very ending, like this one. If this one I would have stopped at the Blue Lagoon, I would have failed.
Mhm. Well, it's complicated. You use the word confusion a lot. Don't be, you're not alone. However, you know exactly what you need to do. You need to, when you do your cool down, somehow emphasize that you only want information from the actual target. You know, you see both of them,
Yeah.
but
And the last target, Marty, I was very happy because my last target, I only perceive the target side.
okay.
So
And
it's,
whatever you did there, try to repeat it over and over again.
yeah, that's what I'm working on. And lately, yeah, like the next two. So that was my last time that I fell with that with the horses. The next one have been hits. And then the latest one is just one picture that I'm perceiving, like, oh, thank you, stubborn mind. You're showing me just one.
Have you used VAT at all to influence your analysis?
VAT?
VAT,
No.
yeah.
So I thought that you did that at the end. I'm gonna stop sharing unless you have a question on my
Okay, yeah,
stuff.
okay. I've been listening to you and watching, but I am also trying to get an email sent to you with the correct prediction. So just give me a moment. So the actual outcome was red, green. You don't get to see this, but as a manager, well, here, there's no reason you can't see it since I happen to have it right here. Oh, I should have just sent it. Every time I try to get fancy. Okay. Side 2 was red, green. Now this is random. I didn't know that until now.
What is random?
Random means nobody knew which was side one and which was side two, and how that association went with, I mean, black and red, green with photo side A and photo side B. So, you know, nobody could be biased, including me. And my comments are going to be work. I'm not, oh, here, that was what I was going to maybe share with you. As the manager, the group manager, I have the ability, you know, I'm the one who sends out the tasking and all that. And this is the outcome. That's step 3, right? 1 is RV, 2 is analysis, 3 is step 3. And so I'm just saying this was the webinar workshop. And then we can get back to that. Okay, so prediction was side 1, side 2 is red and green, side 2 is red and green. I want to make sure I have that right. Okay, so in your email, all of you should have a link for the feedback. Here, and I can bring over my email because I'm going to want to do this too. I did a session. This is the first time I've ever done a session through one of these. I don't know, I felt it was important for me to do. It's also, we can discuss. So there's a prediction in line. The feedback should come through anytime.
Marty, while you're waiting, may I ask a question and make a comment?
Yeah, but wait, I want to go back because it was a very good point, and maybe that's what you're going to comment on. This point of only using the probability part of VAT. I just never thought of that because of the inertia with the way Tom McNair gave it to us. And I think it has value because it may show what you use most of the time. Okay, so each of you should have this, a link. Do you guys have that in your email? But go ahead, ask your question too.
Oh, well, well, my comment is about Carmen's drawing, and those squiggly lines could have been clusters of beans.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my thought, and that's how I put it. But the actual feedback target was the cave. So the positive feedback target was the cave. And the way I figure, I thought, well, maybe the wiggle lines are the people there on the horses. But that was more my intellect.
Okay.
Right. I was going to say, it's the feeling you get when you do it. Tom McNair, in one of his early lectures, showed the exact same ideogram, but it had different meanings to him because they felt different. So it's this feeling motion with the ideogram. That's the A, and then the B is sort of a best guess gestalt. Okay, let's go into the feedback session, and then we can talk more about VAT, because that's where the inputs are, and each of us need to do that. So even if you had a pass, even if you had a miss, go ahead and do what I did, click on the link, and then you should get this page. Have you done that, Carmen? Have you been able to do that? I'm saying that because I'm looking at you. You're on the screen.
Well, no, because I didn't do this.
That's right. You didn't do it. Okay.
I wasn't here.
Correct. Did you do this?
Did I do the feedback?
Did you get the link to the feedback so we can start?
Yes,
Okay.
I did. Yeah.
Okay. So then you can put in your email. I'm putting in my email, and then I click on mine, and we'll all get the same feedback. We got this guy. Okay, now notice, and I'll usually put them on a half page. Notice I also have, and for him, the only thing I got on mine was element 19. And I'm looking on my transcript here, and 19 was man-made. So I figure his clothes and the stuff behind were man-made. I got nothing else. Okay. So this was one of those, like the other person who got a 6.5, the other one was 0, but nevertheless, I want to do that. So, so right now I'm going to click VAT entry, and so should you. You have to click it there. And this is the element one. And
Marcy, can I ask a question
Sure.
about just this bit, the VAT bit? So with the ideogram, are you saying that you have to kind of internally interpret your ideogram to
Correct.
say like the squiggly line is kind of feels like X or Y kind of thing?
Yes, it's called feeling motion. And you do exactly what you said. But you also notice the motion includes describing it. Sometimes all I get is up, down, or I get wavy. And then with wavy, is it water? Is it something else? I have to go by my feeling on that. You know, because there are a lot of things that are wavy. And that's the B part of the ideogram. Now remember, if you don't do ideograms at all, you just do all this stuff below.
Okay, so that's to do with the ideogram, the A and the B. On your analysis, your diagram, you had A and B on there. Was that A and B related to photosite A and B, or
No. In this case, it's, yeah.
ideogram?
No, it's so good you're here asking these questions, because other people who listen to this will benefit from this. On my transcript,
Yeah, your
the
transcript.
A and B was, first there was a coordinate, then there was the ideogram, and then there was A and B. There A is feeling motion about the ideogram,
Right.
and then B is an analytical response. So it has nothing to do, remember, I judged this against, then when we were back there doing both of them, I judged the ideogram against photosite A and photosite B.
Yeah, sure. I'm talking about your actual, you know, your drawing. You had A and B on your drawing.
Here.
Yeah. So what does the A and the B refer to on that drawing? Is it the same A and
Feeling,
B?
A is feeling motion,
Right.
and
Okay.
B is analytical response, and neither of those
okay.
fit there, but they did fit here. Here I had a feeling motion of round, which sort of made sense, and multiples, and movement. That was B. So the B was an analytical response. Why it came up, I don't know. But around, where did that come from? I don't know. But here, the A has to do with the feeling motion associated with the ideogram. And the B is the analytical response associated with the ideogram. And that's different than photosite A, which we often abbreviate as A. I can see the confusion, and photosite B.
Great. Okay, that's perfect.
Okay, so especially S, who I think you got a hit, you will have a lot of stuff yeah, to put in here. And notice, if like you had multiple colors which are correct, you can click the VAT element table more than once and it'll come up again. Okay, so like I'm doing color. No, here I didn't go color. Here I got man-made, and I'll give a 1 to that. It was correct, but that's the only correct thing I got. So this particular one, I've had others, of course, where I did much better, but on this particular one, I did get man-made. And it's funny, man-made, when I say it, that seems to be correct a lot. That's one of the things I've learned. But I'm now going to submit it, and notice it comes back again. So if I had done a color, I could have submitted it, and then I could have done another color, which I got correct, and I would submit them both. But it is the percentages that said I'm only getting 40%, but I do a lot of colors. Now, in many ways, that is kind of interesting, because if you're doing so many colors and only a small fraction are correct, you may want to talk to your sub and say why. I know for me, for a long time, every time I said red, I almost had to say green. Like, just came naturally, and I kind of worked on trying to not that happen. And maybe people who do lots of colors have that same thing. However, after you finish doing that, and presumably you're working on that, after you've done the last one of those, then you go here. And mine is just too easy, since all I got was man-made. And there are a few things which maybe we ought to make this more like a 0.5 and 1, but I mean, it was clearly man-made. So I'm going to mark it as a 1. And I suspect there are judgments which have to be made. Which one of these are the closest? And someone earlier made the suggestion, maybe on this page and the previous one, I could actually have the feedback. But for me, I always found it pretty easy to go back and forth. I think you know about Alt-Tab. Alt-Tab will take me back and forth. Plus, this is very important. When you get a hit or you have multiple ones of this, it connects up with your transcript, which then connects up directly with these. How you doing? Why don't you talk to me? The judgment's pretty straightforward or not? S?
Yeah, I think the thing is that before you do the prediction, then I didn't really know that, I wasn't asking myself, what does it smell like? What does it sound like? And all that stuff. I was just trying to engage with, I guess, the entirety of it. So I think next time I'll be able to kind of ask myself those questions when I'm engaging with the target, and see whether whether things come up better. When I analyze, when I'm going back to do the feedback, I realized that I actually had quite a lot of elements in there for photo site B. And I just need to review how I'm, how I'm judging.
Yes, you see, that's the value in all this. And you're spending time with you got a hit on this, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
I'm sorry, you didn't. And now you're looking at it and you can see how
Yeah.
many things you misjudged.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the really important things to learn. And that may be the reason to do the element analysis.
Yeah.
And put the correct ones now, even though you missed them, but also do a positive feedback. Remember that positive feedback transcript? Put
Yeah.
all the good stuff in there that you didn't put before, and take a moment to sort of increase the handshake somehow. You know, you had a
Yeah.
weak handshake on that.
Yeah.
And that's how you learn. And that's how your sub learns.
Yeah. I mean, I realized that I had a lot of elements of of the logos on the shirt. I had the sort of triangular nature of the neck thing, and the padded shoulders, the shapes of that. Oh, it was all shapes and stuff like that. So yeah, I think I need to just review how I'm judging, and also look at all the stuff that's on that list, the elements list.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And there are others like, well, other things you might think about, but you know, you can look at them now to get a sense of them. When you're doing your transcript, generally the correct ones will come up, but some people do stop and say color, shape, you know, to themselves and see what they get. Some people even write it down on the paper.
Yeah.
So everybody's a little different. You need to find what will work for you.
Marty, oh,
Yep,
excuse
go
me.
ahead.
Sorry, Marty, would you just review analytical response?
Analytical overlay. The
No, I
idea,
understand analytical overlay. Is that the same as response?
well, you know, what's interesting is that's a place where a little bit of your mind, in fact, can come in, because you're somewhere between analysis and your subconscious, in that you have a feeling what your mind might pick up, because you're putting in a big level word, a gestalt-like word like water. And that's what it's called in the business. So, you know, it's called feeling motion and then analytical response. And I've often had the same thing. You're not supposed to use your right brain, right? And yet this is an analytical response, the one place where you do, but it comes quickly. So it's not like you're thinking about it. You know, my shape was wavy, so it must be water. That's too much. But if the word water comes up, fine. It's subtle. I grant you it's subtle, but that's what Tom McNair and the CRVers, that's what they call B. I'm going to ask Tom about that.
Marty, could I ask a newbie question, please?
Sure.
So normally during meditation, I would I guess randomly see like a photo, you know, an image or a scene or something like that in full Technicolor, you know, and it may be just a flash, or I may be able to hold that image and look at it and analyze it. But when I'm doing this, then I seem to be in a different place. It's a sort of a darker place, a blurrier sort of. And so I'm just wondering, is that do you have any explanation
Yes.
for that?
Russell Targ, you know Russell Targ, one of the,
Yeah.
Okay. He says if a picture comes in too clearly, it's almost always wrong. The idea here is to get the pieces, these individual elements that we talk about, and then that might lead to a sketch. But it's rare that the kind of thing you're talking about is accurate. So don't feel bad about it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Other questions, comments? God, I really like this, having to find this stuff. Okay. My share, is my screen being shared? Yeah. So I'm at the place where I put in, I now did the VAT percentage, and there's only one shot at doing that because it makes no sense. You're looking at your transcript and you're making ideas about the percentage. And I too think this is the most important, the summary of them, which I showed you. So then you click submit VAT and you get thank you. You're done. Okay, you did it. But some people, including Teresa, I don't know if she's still here, said, hey, what if I want to see my VAT table as it is now? So you can click that little thing that was there, and then you get your VAT table updated with the new information. You just put it. In fact, this, Evie, I'd like to know if that works. Give it a shot and see if you get, a single one.
Yeah, mine worked. It worked.
I mean, Essie, did you?
Yeah, it's fine. I got it. Yeah.
You got one line presumably for each of them. Oh no, and maybe multiple ones marked and all that. So you can see it. Now, this is what you'll see the next time you do an analysis judging. Okay, let's wrap that.
Mari, do
Yep.
you do an analysis for each of the pictures or just one?
The analysis phase, you must do it for both. And
No,
you
I'm
do
talking
it-
about this one, the VAT.
So this is a target. This is a feedback. All you do is work with the feedback one and you forget the other one.
Okay.
And literally, when I say forget, that's it. You set it aside, out of your mind. You never think about it again. And in some ways, Carmen, I know I see you do both. That's one of the things you have to work on is, know that you're mostly intellectual when you're doing analysis judging. Yeah, you're going to see them both. But how many pictures do you see in a day just looking around? It's just not important. And you have to make the fact that you see both of them not important. Okay. So you click here and you get that and you get that, which we just did. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up with what's become standard for me is all of this hopefully encourages health, the deep meaning of wealth, which generally means sharing and doing good work. It came from the word wheel, and wisdom, working with your subconscious, which is connected to the UCC, all of that just helps with all of this. I think it does help with your health as well. And the greatest wealth is health. And then this I actually got from the Monroe Institute when they had me do a meditation through 4 pools: love, wisdom, beauty, joy. Okay, so any other questions, comments? I'll leave it here. And this webinar should be out hopefully sometime tomorrow. And if there are any specific questions, email me.
It's good. It's good to end with love.
Thank you. I agree. The more love, the better, right?
Yes, indeed.
I have one question, Mari. So for the Precog Pro, what you expect? Like when I have 7 hits in a row or 10 hits out of 25?
I went out of my way not to give the details here. I barely got through my 2 hours. Go to the website.
All right.
And there's a specific tab on the top that says become a Precog professional or something like that. And it'll tell you everything, what it takes to get in, how much money you can earn. You see, a lot of people don't like wagering at all. Well, this isn't wagering. This is using your Precog skill and you can earn good money. So I'm encouraging everybody to do that. Okay, anything else? Well, keep precogging. Have as much love and joy in your life as you can. And
Thank you very much. You too. Bye, Marty.
thank you.
Bye, everyone.